My main pillar is actually retention of the customer. So what we're doing is we're actually spending around the same amount of money as we got the customer back to keep the customer in. If it's delivery, fast delivery for free, is it maybe some additional presents we can give to the customer? Is it the customer support, the customer service, or maybe something in addition to that we can offer the customer to actually make him come back? And that's where the secret sauce basically is.
It's the eCommerce Master Plan podcast, here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello and welcome. It's great to have you here. Thank you for hitting play and choosing to listen to one of our inspiring guests. In this episode, we are exploring what I think is a very tricky part of e-commerce. We are exploring bricks and clicks when you are, so that's physical stores and online store, a physical store and online store, where you are selling other people's products. It's a luxury fashion company which sells other luxury fashion brands. And it'll be fair to say our guest has it nailed. He's doing really well. The business is doing really well. And as you're about to find out, he has such clarity on what his business should and shouldn't be doing. And he has lots of tips to share with you all about it too. So if you're looking at improving retention, if you're selling in the fashion space, if you're trying to juggle physical store and online store, or if you just want a few very cool tips to help you build your business, then you're really going to love this one. Listen out in particular for his 3 pillars. And make sure you listen to the end of the episode because you don't want to miss out on his top tips, where he's doing some great recommendations in there. And you'll also get my own take on the episode. Have you yet downloaded the 500 Top Tips to Make Your E-Commerce Business More Profitable ebook? Packed with 500 top tips about how to make your e-commerce store more profitable. I've organised the whole thing into sections so you can dip in and dip out and take inspiration as and when you need to. This ebook exists to be there on your desktop or even printed and sat on your desk. Download your free copy right now at keepopt.com/ebook. Get this epic e-commerce ebook now at keepopt.com/ebook. And now to introduce our special guest. Klim Yadrintsev is the founder and CEO at Allure, a luxury multi-brand fashion boutique based in the south of France. They sell via their physical store and WooCommerce website. Founded in 2020, they now do around $2 million in sales a year, with annual growth at 20 to 30%. Hello, Klim.
Hi, very nice to be here. I'm very happy to finally share any wisdom with you.
It's brilliant to have you here on the show. Thank you so much for asking to come on. How did you end up in the world of e-commerce?
So it's a funny story, actually, because I was studying back in UK and every single plumber basically seemed to have a website. And at one point, I realized that the shopping that I did usually actually was happening offline, and I couldn't find many solutions in my price range and for the brands which I was interested in online. So it was a key point for me, and basically an idea sparked where I decided to start specific e-commerce with fashion for brands that I'm interested in.
And so you had the pain point of the customer, and then you decided to get into it. Was Allure your first e-commerce endeavor?
No, actually, there were a couple, and the most successful one was Elitz, which was basically an e-commerce fashion marketplace, which ended up being a fashion marketplace for USSR countries and UK as well, where basically I started off with a single brand, which had an exclusive offer for me for this market. And later I expanded into different brands. And I have started in 2014 and grew it for 10 years, actually exiting it successfully a couple of years ago.
Very cool. So given you were running that successful site, what led you to want to also run Allure, targeting similar product range, but a completely different market, both in all of language, region, currency, the works? What led you to do that?
So it might seem like it's very different, but in reality, it's very similar because in the south of France, where I am right now, we get a lot of actual customers who are English speaking and who actually travel from USSR and from Dubai, from Eastern countries as well. So in reality, our core market is basically the same as it was before. The only difference is here in south of France, there are practically no offline stores which actually sell the items, or if they are, they're usually mono brands by big brands and not by small direct and indie brands which his customer might be interested in. So my idea was actually also spotting a gap in the market where I didn't find anything to buy for myself. So I was like, okay, it's a great place to start a business, start on fashion e-commerce and fashion retail.
So from day one, was Allure always going to be a bricks and clicks operation, a website and a physical store?
Yeah, so from day one, it was actually a store only for a couple of months while we were preparing the website. And the reason is because with Elise, I couldn't actually test this hypothesis and this type of business where you have the offline presence and online presence. And I always wanted to try it. And I was extremely surprised how well it worked from the first day, basically.
Very cool. Well, maybe we'll get into more on that later. But first of all, let's explain a bit more about the business to those who are listening. So you're based in the south of France. You're selling globally. What's the product that you sell? We've said luxury multi-brand fashion. Is it men's? Is it women's? What sort of brands are we talking about? Tell us a bit more about your product.
Yep. So it's actually both man and woman. And when I talk about brands, it's actual Italian or French brands such as Brunello Cucinelli, Tom Ford, which is French/American. Then there are Magda Buttrum, which is a Polish brand, but with really high presence in France. And many, many others. Self-Portrait, Attico, Courageous, very high-end French brands. So we sell it globally, but around 60% of our market is actually French-based. Again, it's not French nationals. It's the people who come to France or live in France.
Got you. And those businesses, luxury fashion, can be challenging to deal with when you are one of their resellers or their consignments or whatever the word is we're using. It can be a difficult one to do, especially in the online space. So how have you found, I guess for anyone else in that similar space, have you got any tips to share on how to make it easier and how to build those strong relationships with the brands?
Yeah, so for 10 years, I have been battling with myself because this is basically a type of a franchising business, right? Because you're buying someone else's brand, you're trying to bring value to the customer in a way that brand can't, right? Because the brand also has online presence. They also have their own store. They have offline stores as well. So you can actually go as a customer to a brand and buy instead of my place. And I mean, the brand is the same, the items are the same. So what we end up doing is actually bringing so much value to the customer, so many additional things to the customer that the brand just can't do. For example, we offer a full wardrobe renewal. We offer the specific person who consults them on how to dress for a specific occasion. And we do a lot of simple things, but also things that brands will never do for you. And on top of that, again, the proximity and the local market is everything you've got. For example, for us, we're based in a small city next to Nice in France. And I mean, every single person who lives around there already know that they can, for example, go to, a big brand, or they can go to us and not only buy a single brand, but get, for example, 10 different brands in 2 different looks with specific help from us to how to dress. And in addition to that, they're helping the local economy. And I mean, that's also something that people really like, even in online, because people would prefer to buy from a beautiful store in one of the cities in south of France instead of from a big conglomerate brand.
And then the other thing which I find fascinatingly challenging about your business model is the boutique nature. And by let me define boutique for everybody listening and for you, Klim, before I ask you a question about it. What I mean by boutique is a store that's selling other people's brands. You know, the uniqueness isn't in the product. The uniqueness is in the curation of the product. And that works brilliantly in a physical boutique fashion store and is notoriously hard to do online. Clearly, you've cracked the code. You don't have to give us your secret sauce. But how do you go about not just running an SEO or a Google Ads race to the bottom against the brand themselves. How do you manage to build the online sales when it's other people's products that you're selling?
So there are so many levels to answer this question, actually. And I mean, I can give you the 3 top ones, which are actually defining our business. And you said correctly, boutique style approach. So our main pillar, let's say pillars, 3 pillars. My main pillar is actually retention of the customer. And what I mean by that is that we're paying for a customer, again, to race to the bottom in Facebook ads, in Meta ads, in Google ads, in TikTok ads. But what we're very good at is that once we paid for that customer or we spent the money, we're trying to make sure that the retention and LTV of the customer is as high as possible. So what we're doing is we're actually spending around the same amount of money as we got the customer back to keep the customer in. If it's delivery, fast delivery for free, is it maybe some additional presents we can give to the customer? Is it the customer support, the customer service, or maybe something in addition to that we can offer the customer to actually make him come back? And that's where the secret sauce basically is. The second one, what we're doing is actually the offline presence and online presence, omni-channel approach. So it's much easier and cheaper, as it ended up being, to actually get a customer offline. And because you're paying for rent, you're paying for the person to see the window. And so it's much easier and cheaper to get the customer through the door and knowing about your brand instead of getting him through Meta ads. And we just convert the same offline shopper, which bought on a vacation in the south of France and then came back to US to work basically and back to their home. And we just communicate with him, do email marketing, do SMS, do retargeting on Meta in order to bring him back. And that has been the main key point for us to working with the customer. And the third one is small, but also super important, is person-to-person communication. We have, because the average sale price is around 1,000 euros, which is, I think, $1,100 per customer per purchase. It's very high. So what we're trying to do is actually give the customer a person-to-person approach. We have a specific person who basically takes around 100 to 500 people, and he communicates with them by week basis. So he sends them new arrivals in WhatsApp. He sends them new things that they might be interested in, videos, and just advice if they actually need it.
What a cool 3 pillars. And you'd said, I mean, guys, before we hit record, I said to Klim, is there anything particular you want to talk about? He said, we're big in retention. I thought, okay, cool, we'll get into retention. But, listening to your 3 pillars and you explain them, I mean, all 3 of them are deep in the world of retention. In terms of growing the business. And that third one, having, what I would describe as a customer service rep, I'm sure you've got a better name for it, but that person who has 500 people on their list and they are proactively communicating with them. So it's kind of outbound customer service, but in a far more elegant way than that phrase suggests, is just really, really demonstrates your commitment to retention. So I love that. And I definitely want to get deeper into the retention piece in a moment. But first off, though, obviously, we've got these customer service people. We've got the team in the store, the physical store. How many of you are there across the whole business? And is there anything you choose to outsource rather than keep in-house?
It's a great question because I've been thinking a lot about the structure of the company, the structure of our workforce, and how we actually efficiently operate the business. Because I think in e-commerce, it's very tempting and super easy to get insane amount of people working in the business, and then the margins grow slimmer and slimmer until there is nothing. And I think it's a huge challenge and a huge possibility to get the business rolling with as little people as possible. We're actually operating in e-commerce alone only 7 people, but across the business overall we have around 50 people. I mean, of course, there is a stock room, for example, where we have around 7 people working with getting the stocks from the companies, delivering it, then operating it, checking, fulfilling the orders and everything like that. And because the items are so expensive, we cannot use outsourced stock room. The other big part for us is the retail space. So right now we're operating around 400 square meters of retail space. And I think that's around 800 feet, if I'm not afraid, if I'm correct. All right, 400 meters.
Those math. Sorry, everyone listening. I'm making a face of saying I haven't got a clue because whilst here in the UK we are pretty bilingual in terms of metrics and imperial measurements. Can I convert between the two? No, not in the slightest.
So we have around 20 people working for 400 meters. And I mean, if you're in the world of retail, it's quite a lot. But at the same time, because we try to provide as personal service as we can, we try to keep that in 20 to 25 people. And then we have marketing, which is the pillar of e-commerce, actually, where all the money is being spent, where all the interesting things are happening in marketing, as well as operations, where, for example, we have the buying office, which is in charge of actually stocking the items, which items to buy, which to sell. And we have an additional service, which is the photo service. So the photo service is, I don't know how to say, it's basically operation space where we do the photography and video content for social media as well as for the website. And we outsource some of it to contractors, but we also have a little space next to our boutique where we can do some social media content or maybe record a video, for example, for the customer, because it just made sense for us to actually get this physical place with physical cameras and everything ready for us at any point, because we just calculated that a single video that we make at this location for the customer actually earn us around $60. So in reality, it just made sense for us to make as many videos as we can to make as much money as possible, basically.
I mean, you mentioned earlier about, one of the factors in using the physical store for recruitment is you don't have a marketing spend as such, but your marketing spend is sunk into your rental cost, which is obviously high because it's a physical retail store in a prime location. And I wonder, did that also factor into, right, we've got a physical space that's got our clothes on hangers ready to be tried on. It would be mad not to have some form of studio on site so we can take advantage of that square footage and the fact that products are ready to be used. Was that a factor in deciding to have the mini studio?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, it's ready. It's already nice and neat. So, I mean, it just made sense for us to have it right next to it. And plus, people don't know this, but in Europe, the rent is not very high. But the thing is that you have to pay key money. I don't know if in UK it's a thing, but basically you pay around $1 million or €1 million just to get the ability to rent the place. And then in the end, you can sell it after you close down the business. You could sell this key money, the ability to rent, to someone else. So it's like a kind of thing, a big investment, but a small rental income, which you just have to buy and have to earn. So for us, we were lucky to find a prime location without this key money, because everyone around us paid $1 million, $2 million euros to actually be in this location.
Nice work. I mean, so often if you're dealing with property and business, half the battle is how you buy the property or rent the property. And it sounds like you did a very good job on the way in.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've got this strategy, which makes so much sense, about recruiting the customers in the physical space where they get the great experience and then converting them into long-term retained customers. We're all familiar with, getting to the checkout or being accosted on the way in with someone going, give us your email address, give us your email address. Now, that obviously massively jars with your customer base, the products you're selling and the way you go about doing it. So how do you do those most basic mechanics of turning in-store, of getting the information out of in-store customer to be able to do the retention piece?
I mean, I'm surprised how many stores don't do this, but having a loyalty program is incredibly easy to sell the ability for the customer to leave their email address and their phone number. I mean, I don't like the discounts in loyalty, but I like cashback. So you, for example, buy a $1,000 piece of item, right? And you're getting 5% of that to your balance, and then you can spend it. So of course, if the customer is interested in this type of fashion, he will leave you his email or his phone number because he wants to earn this practically money on his balance. And also, I think just asking goes a long way. I was so surprised when one of my friends who also has a retail store, he was like, oh, no one is leaving their emails. And when we did a simple thing of having a script for the salesperson to ask, oh, do you want to leave your email to get news about discounts, increase the sign-up rate by 10 times. So it just asking goes a long way.
So asking, but also training your team how to ask so they feel comfortable and so they know what sort of words to use and when to say it. I'm guessing you never have anyone on the door trying to get email addresses.
Yeah, no, just no. You've given us the 3 pillars of your retention strategy, and that it's obviously highly personalized with that human outreach. Do you also do personalization comms within it on a bigger scale, so a more segmentation triggered, etc. scale? Yeah, so we have a lot of segmentation on a website. I mean, we all in e-commerce space love the fact of automation and automatic segmentation and personalization. But I think the biggest thing you can do is actually bringing this automatic thing and making it personal. I mean, we do $2 million in revenue, 2 million euros in revenue actually, by only around 4,000 customers per year. So it's not a lot. And I mean, when I just think about this, 4,000 customers a year is around 400 customers per month, 4,000 to 400, right? And so it's very easy to make anything automatic, actually personal, and doing it by yourself, because when the customer gets a handwritten note, for example, he will actually appreciate it and get much more value from it than getting something automatic. But of course, what we do automatically is email segmentation by a customer and what brand he bought. We're also doing SMS notification, which are personal. For example, a customer checks out an item and it's not available right now because someone else had bought it. We sign him up through SMS and deliver to him personal SMS when it's available. And then, of course, we know, okay, he wanted this brand, this item. Then we change the sequence and what he's interested in and what we should suggest to him. But all of this information is actually goes into our CRM, where we see all the customer data, and then the salesperson, like I talked to you about, the person who communicates with the customer sees, oh, okay, this customer bought this brand, or he likes sundresses, for example, she likes sundresses, or he, and we basically see that the customer wants that and communicate in that way.
That makes so much sense. It's like the best of both worlds, the P2P as well as the best of the automation, but not always taking the what is actually the best thing to do filter to it rather than just building the next thing.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about the need for a great customer experience and how you're doing that through the communication channels. But so often in boutique retail, in retail in general, when you get this amazing experience in store, and then you end up on a website, the customer experience, the transition drops back. So how do you go about creating not a similar experience, because you're never going to get the same experience, but a similar feeling for the customer when they're transacting on the website versus when they're walking through the doors of your store?
I think for us, the game changer was when we discovered that we can do CusDevs and personal calls with customer and just asking them, oh, how do you like this? Or how do you actually go about purchasing something on the website? Or in reality, what we used to do, not anymore, but we used to force the customer to buy something on the website when he's in store. I mean, if we have a good communication, good rapport with the customer, we can do that. And I just used to watch the customer, what they were doing, where they were struggling. And that helped a lot, because the most important thing on the website is practically make it as simple as possible to reach the conclusion, to reach the end of the funnel, to basically purchase. And if they confused or they don't really understand how to buy the item, even though, of course, we all know how e-commerces work, but you will be surprised how many customers and how many websites not optimized for that. And if that works, it's fine. So we just make it as easy as possible for the customer to land on the website and then purchase. We even have a custom plugin where we can send the customer a specific link with items already added to the cart. So what he just needs to do is actually go to the cart, write down the information for delivery, and then just purchase. That's it. So we make it as easy as possible for the customer to basically reach the end of the funnel.
E-commerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Have you yet downloaded the 500 Top Tips to Make Your E-commerce Business More Profitable ebook? Packed with 500 top tips about how to make your e-commerce store more profitable. I've organised the whole thing into sections so you can dip in and dip out and take inspiration as and when you need to. This ebook exists to be there on your desktop or even printed and sat on your desk. Download your free copy right now at keepopt.com/ebook. Get this epic e-commerce ebook now at keepopt.com/ebook.
It's time for the top tips round.
Okay, I love this section because it gives me and our listeners some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So, Klim, are you ready for the top tips?
Yes.
Okay, let's start then. The book top tip. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
All right. So I have two books recommending. So first one, of course, I mean, probably most of the entrepreneurs read it already, but it's Alex Hormozi, 100 Million Offers. And why I'm recommending offers and not leads, his next book, is because I think in e-commerce, we all struggle so much with doing like offers and understanding how offer work for our product. So it's super important. And the second book, which I think is even more amazing and can drive much more value to e-commerce, is Entrepreneur Revolution by Daniel Priestley. And in that book, he goes about how entrepreneurship have changed and how there is a thing as key person of influence. I think in e-commerce and specifically in beauty, there is a huge trend and a huge show of specific people actually driving so much marketing, so much eyeballs to a specific product and driving to 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion evaluation and turnover. And I think it's super underrated in e-commerce how you can basically become or find the key person of influence for the brand and just skyrocket your everything.
I love that. Really, two great recommendations. I'm fully aware of the Daniel Priestley one, not come across the 100 million offers. So I will be going and having a look at that straight after we hang up on this call. Traffic top tip. Which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
I think the biggest thing that we all have looked at for past 15 years or 20 years is email marketing. And I don't think many brands and many e-commerces do it well. I think that if your e-commerce is not generating 30 to 40% of your revenue from email marketing, you are doing it wrong or you're not doing it enough. And I think that email marketing is so undervalued and underutilized by brands, specifically because I actually find that people say, oh, it's too confusing, or I don't want the customer to be annoyed by me. But in reality, people just don't talk to the customer and don't know what they can do and how they can make it as easy as possible.
Oh, I could put that on a billboard. Totally agree with you. I saw something on social media this week of someone saying that they'd had an email marketing consultant saying that someone had said to them, we make money through automation, so why do we need a newsletter? It's like hang head in shame. Oh man, come on people. So totally agree with you on that one, Klim. Right. Tool top tip. Maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
I will cheat and give two again. I think that the basic one, and again, I think it's super easy to use, is Notion. And I mean, if you're not using Notion for your notes, for collaborating with people, it's super easy to do. And it has the best of Excel and also the best of any other note-taking app and collaboration app in together. And the second one is actually Miro. I don't know if many people actually know about it because it's not something new and they don't invest much in marketing. But Miro is basically a whiteboard app, which you can also collaborate with, brainstorm, do many different things. And it's super intuitive and it helps my team to brainstorm and actually get things released by brainstorming together and having these nice sessions in Miro.
Yeah, that's Miro for Miro, anyone who's here. And yeah, it's weird. Lots of people don't know about it, but it does get recommended occasionally on the podcast. So well worth checking out. The carbon top tip. What's your favorite way to reduce the carbon footprint of an e-commerce store?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it would be different advice if I was producing my items, right? Because I'm actually buying from the brands, because I think there's a lot to do with production. You can reduce the carbon. But on top of that, what we do is we reuse the packaging that we get from the delivery companies and from the brands. So you might not think that it's much, but we estimate that we save around 5,000 boxes per month by just reusing items for basically from the customer when we receive the return, or from the brand when we receive a return, we use the same boxes.
I find that I think that's a brilliant tip. More businesses should be doing it. But I find the reason why lots don't is because they feel it could be seen as being embarrassing if they're seen to be recycling packaging. But you're serving, the top 1% with luxury fashion, and you're doing it. Is there anything you would say to people who are like, oh, our customers wouldn't be all right with that, to help them get past that barrier?
But I think it's a misunderstanding in most cases that a customer is expecting you to have everything perfect, to have everything new. If you say, and your ideology on the website is that you're recycling and you're doing basically you're reducing the carbon footprint, it's expected of you to have some issues with the packaging. And on top of that, if you're saying, oh, I don't want the customer to see the bad packaging, don't send the customer the reused packaging. Are you using internally the recycled materials? Are you using internally for example, from one store to another, or from example, from the production line? Are you using the same packaging? Maybe there is a way to save there.
Love that. 2 more great tips. Thank you very much, Klim. Now, before we say goodbye, could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and your business?
Yeah, you can find us at Allure, sjfc.com. And you can also come to us at Segmentation Chapter in France.
Marvellous. And I believe you have a little bit of diary space, how I have no idea, to help other businesses grow their businesses. So how does someone get in contact with you if they want your help?
Yeah, you can always find me on my LinkedIn, which is also Klim Yadrintsev. I mean, it's name and surname. You'll find it probably in the description, right?
Yep, definitely. Awesome. There you go, everybody. Klim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I've chucked some quite tricky questions at you, and you've met them all brilliantly. It's been a fascinating chat, so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Gerhard. Thanks for having me.
What a fascinating business. And how much does Klim know what he's doing? I mean, brilliant advice. And he's clearly really learnt his craft over running these 2 different businesses in that same luxury fashion space. Loved his 3 pillars for the business, both because he knows what they are. He knows what his business's 3 pillars that they focus on are. And then secondly, how his choice of 3 pillars fits together so well to deliver for his business. So the first pillar being the retention and long-term growth. How can they do that through gifts, delivery, better service, etc. The second one was his omni-channel approach. So understanding the roles of each of those channels, the website and the physical store in the business, which is basically the physical store is about recruiting customers. The online store is about retaining them, to put it overly simplistically. And then thirdly, that smaller piece about the one-to-one or the P2P communications, where he has a number of staff who each do one-on-one comms with their customers to build those strong relationships over time. Really, really fascinating chat with him. Lots for you all to take from that, I'm sure. You can get your hands on our notes about this episode, including those top tips and links to what we mentioned, by heading over to ecommercemasterplan.com. You can also use our direct episode short links. Just put ecmp.info/the number of this episode into the URL bar, and you'll be redirected straight to the right page of the site. And when you get there, why not get yourself on our email list so you don't miss out on all the cool stuff we share? If you like this episode, then you can find more of our episodes about fashion at ecmp.info/fashion. And you can find more with stores running on WooCommerce, which we don't get many stores running on WooCommerce. So if you're running on WooCommerce and want to come on and be a guest, just apply on the website. But if you want more WooCommerce content, then go to ecmp.info/WooCommerce. And if you're running high-end luxury bricks and clicks operations, then keep listening, because in a few episodes' time, we're going to be doing a very cool jewellery boutique one too, which is really well worth listening to alongside this one. Right. Thank you so much for tuning in to this and every episode of the e-commerce master plan podcast. I bring you a new interview every week because I want to inspire and help e-commerce business owners like you to succeed and thrive with your businesses, including progressing along the all-important path to net zero. So if you know someone this show can help, please tell them to listen to the e-commerce master plan podcast. Hope you have a brilliant week, and don't forget to keep optimizing.
Thank you for listening to the e-commerce master plan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.
Have you yet downloaded the 500 Top Tips to Make Your E-Commerce Business More Profitable ebook? Packed with 500 top tips about how to make your e-commerce store more profitable. I've organised the whole thing into sections so you can dip in and dip out and take inspiration as and when you need to. This ebook exists to be there on your desktop or even printed and sat on your desk. Download your free copy right now at keepopt.com/ebook. Get this epic e-commerce ebook now at keepopt.com/ebook.